absolutely had no control over this woman after this verdict. I mean, clearly they didn't have much control over her when she was on the witness stand. So this has nothing to do with the attorneys. This is obviously a woman who's in control of her own actions, her own destiny, and clearly her own fate.
All right. How does this affect what the jury may now decide on sentencing?
You know, I don't think it's going to have much of an effect. I mean, the only thing I could see happening here is some jurors who would be less inclined to impose a death penalty could sit back there and say, listen, if she doesn't care, if that's what she wants, well, sure, it makes my job easier. But, you know, clearly there is something going on in this woman's head. I mean, she's sociopathic. But I think, if anything, what this shouts out loud and clear is the only appropriate defense in this case. Not the three defenses she proffered, the I have no idea what happened, I wasn't there, or some robbers came in, I was there, and then ultimately the self-defense defense. I think the only defense that would have been appropriate in this case was a mental defect defense. Not a legal insanity defense, but a mental defect defense. Clearly, she doesn't play with a full deck. And that is the one thing that I think bodes in her favor when it comes to the penalty phase here. Because it's one thing to sentence someone to death. It's very different than rendering conviction for murder. To sentence someone to die is a very different thing. And I think jurors are going to weigh whether she's completely there or not. I mean, she's never going to see the streets again, and she shouldn't. But to sentence someone to death is different. And I think if there's a mental defect here, and some jurors believe she's nuts in some regard, I think they'll hesitate.
That's where we go back to those 18 days. The 18 days she was on the stand. It was shocking testimony all over the place in so many ways. But no matter what she said, the fact of the matter is, those jurors were staring at this woman for 18 days. Crazy or not, as you say, does that make it harder for them to sentence her to death?
You know, again, that cuts both ways. I mean, in some ways, yes, you get to know the person. It's a personalization of a human being. You're actually seeing a person, not just, they're not the defendant anymore. They're this person you've been interacting with, so to speak, for 18 days. On the other hand, they found that for 18 days, she sat up there, looked them in the face, and lied to them. That's an aggravating circumstance. And remember, in this case, what they have to prove, the prosecution here, is that the death was caused in a cruel manner, either physical pain or mental anguish. It really doesn't get more cruel, more savage than what happened here. So if there's someone, and I am obviously not a proponent of the death penalty, but if you're going to impose it in this country, she happens to meet all the factors.
So you're her defense attorney now?
No, I am not.
If you were, what do? You sound like that would be a tough job to have. What could they possibly do?
I mean, someone asked me yesterday, what was the turning point in this trial? And I said the turning point in this trial was opening statements. I mean, the facts in this case were beyond change. What do you do here? If I were her defense attorney at this phase, I damn what she wants and put her aside. You're now at the point where you have to relate to this jury. You have someone here who obviously is not right. And we don't kill the people in this country who have mental illnesses. And she clearly, murderer as she is, she has a mental illness.
And you try to sell that to the jury somehow during this phase.
Yeah, it's more than selling. I think it's just presenting the facts. The facts probably bode in her favor when it comes to realizing she is someone who's unhealthy mentally.
Joe Tacopina, great.
Tired of losing your eBay auctions to the highest bidder? Auto bid them now. Get to ubidder.com. Bid at the last second and avoid bidding wars. Enter your bid, set it, and forget it. And spread the word. Links in the description. Download our Chrome and Firefox add-on for one-click auto bids.